Hello and welcome to the Meet Your Major event tonight in the College of Education, Criminal Justice, Human Services, and Information Technology. We're excited to have you here for our event. Tonight we will be talking about the special education program within the School of Education here at the University of Cincinnati. My name is Corbin Perta. I'm the undergraduate enrollment advisor for the college. My information is on here, so if you ever want to email me or call me at any time, if you have any questions later on, I'd be happy to assist you, answer any questions you had about our programs here in the college. So thanks for being here tonight, and we look forward to talking with you more about the special education program. And just to introduce our panel tonight, so we do have Caroline Anthony is here. Caroline, you want to turn on your audio and video and say hey to everybody?
Hello, everyone. I'm Caroline. I'm a third year in the program.
Awesome. Thanks for being here tonight, Caroline. So yes, welcome everybody. And we are really excited to talk to you about a lot of things within this program. So first and foremost, congratulations to all of you students out there that have applied and been admitted to the University of Cincinnati for the fall. Congratulations, especially the special education program that we're highlighting tonight. If you're planning on coming this fall and you're admitted, congratulations. We are really excited to have you in the program and to see you soon in the near future. Hopefully on campus. I know we'll be on campus again, hopefully sooner than later, once things get settled the way they should be. I know everything is kind of crazy right now, and I know for those of you that are seniors, this may not be the senior year that you had envisioned. I know a lot of things with everybody, plans have changed, schedules have been adjusted, and we are adapting to this new change right now. So I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy through everything. If you have any questions or concerns about how things are being organized through all of this, feel free to let us know. I know we're doing everything that we can to make sure students are accommodated and staying successful with whatever they need to be able to do. So, but like I said, feel free to contact us if you have any questions or concerns about anything going on with that. So as we kind of get into this, just a kind of a brief overview of our presentation tonight, we are going to do an overview of the program, and Caroline's here to really help me kind of dive into some of these things as a student and get her perspective from her experiences in the program, which will be very valuable. And then we're going to go into life as a UCCECH student, life as a student here at the university, and talking about those things, and hear from Caroline and her advice and things that she does as a student, how she navigates things on a day-to-day basis. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to post any questions you may have in our comment box on this event. We'll be happy to address any questions that you have as well during this event. So program overview. So the School of Education has several education pathways for students to obtain their teaching licensure, and it looks different depending on what you want to do. Throughout all of our education programs, we do have an urban education component built into that curriculum. And Caroline, do you want to talk a little bit about why that's important for students in education?
Why it's important to be in the urban setting?
Yeah, so we have like a variety of school settings. You'll get the urban education experience as well as other experiential environments.
Yeah, it was really interesting for me because I grew up in a more suburban setting. I maybe had 2 Black kids in my high school. So it's interesting to see how different schools run their class. I know a lot of people mention that sometimes at more urban schools there can be more of a focus on rules and students following those rules, but we do a lot. I went to Hughes for my placement, and it was a lot of fun. I had so much fun with the kids, and I really enjoyed being around people who are different than me, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's a lot of additional opportunities that you'll see within education. You have your career expos and mock interview opportunities, just trying to provide opportunities for students to network, gain experiences, and just help them with the next step. If you're thinking about, your next step is where are you going to work, but how do you get those jobs? Networking opportunities and just practicing the interviews process for a school, just really great opportunities for students to begin that while they're in college, and we highly encourage that. And then the experience aspect, we'll dive into that more in depth, but obviously really important to be mindful that students are going to be getting experience in the classroom. And a lot of experience. And so that's going to look differently as you progress. But the important thing is that you get experience from your first year when you actually first start the program. So you're not waiting until you're a junior in college to find out, what is the classroom really like? Is this something that I really want to do? Do I see myself doing this? And so having those experiences and progressively get more involved, more hands-on as you go through the program is just really important for students to have that, especially starting from the very beginning of the program. And we'll definitely dive into that and let Caroline share a little bit about what that looks like for her here in a minute. The special education program, the kind of important aspects of that, it is a K through 12 for as far as your licensure goes and the grades that you'll be able to work in. So it covers that broad K through 12 spectrum. And then students are also going to be able to obtain their intervention specialist license in both mild to moderate and moderate to intense. That's really important for students to be mindful that this program prepares you for both of those areas. And so you're coming out of this program to really help students across the board in various needs. So really important to be mindful of that. And then you're also going to learn 2 content areas to be very knowledgeable in these areas to be able to assist students in a classroom. So, you wouldn't be like a licensed math teacher or a language arts teacher, but but as a student, you'll be able to assist in the classroom in those content areas. So you'll gain knowledge there through those areas within the program. And that does make us a what they call a highly qualified teacher program, just gaining additional knowledge as a student in that program to prepare you to be as a teacher that can really assist students in various ways and various needs. So Caroline, I'm gonna let you kind of share a little bit here, but one of the things I wanted to do was bring up kind of examples of what a first year schedule would look like for a student coming into the University of Cincinnati. And 2 things I wanna make sure we bring attention to. One, you are gonna start taking major specific courses in your first year, and that's really important. And I'll let Caroline share like why that's important. But even in the classrooms in your first year, you'll have opportunities to get hands-on experience in the classes that you're actually taking within your first year. So Caroline, can you speak a little bit into some of the courses that you took and what are your 2 content areas?
Yeah, my content areas, I am language arts and math. I think my first year, my classes were a bit different because I originally was secondary education language arts. So I was taking a lot of the English classes, and that actually was really, really helpful for me because I realized writing papers and grading papers didn't really appeal to me all that much. So that's part of the reason why I switched to special education. But taking all of the math courses and getting that early on, I think is really helpful because you go from high school taking math classes. So if these were something that you do a lot later in the semester in your college years, you might have forgotten a lot more than you think you did. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then were there any classes that you really enjoyed within your program that maybe you got more hands-on experience in some classes?
Yes, I really, really liked the 2 in the spring semester, the educational psychology and the individuals with exceptionalities. I just personally loved my professors, but also those were the classes where we were required to go to a school. We went to an elementary school and got to work one-on-one with a 3rd grader. And that was just obviously so much fun. You fell in love with the kid that you worked with. And it really taught you what special education is. You learn about the laws of special education and some things that you didn't even know. Some of the laws and the regulations, a lot of fighting and work went into putting those in place. And it's really inspiring to see the people who made those changes happen for education.
Now, you mentioned that you were in secondary education when you first started. Is that right?
Yes.
So what made you decide to change?
Well, I did have a lot of English classes, and writing papers just really stressed me out. Oh, sorry. My dad was calling me, sorry. But yeah, it was a lot of writing papers, and that just really I dreaded doing it. And then also my senior year of high school was when I really started working with the students at my school who had disabilities. So I had already picked my major before I really realized that I loved that. So once I got here at UC and I got to know some of the kids on campus with disabilities and work more with them, I realized that was what really made me happy and fulfilled me as a person.
Okay, cool. So what you said you worked with students on campus. Explain a little bit about that.
I didn't really, I'd say work, like I just mean like I got to know some of the students because I lived in Stratford, the dorms in Stratford my first year, and that was where all the TAP program kids were living. So I'd see them all the time. And if you go to UC, you'll probably meet a kid named Matt Main, and he just goes up to every girl and introduces himself and it's just super friendly. So I just started hanging out with him, and he would talk to me about his classes that he was taking and what it was like for him being a student at UC. And I just realized that being around people with disabilities was just what made me happiest.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for students that may not know what TAP is, it's called the Transition and Access Program. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that program does at UC, since we kind of gone on the subject with it?
I don't know too much. I'm not the person to give
Oh yeah,
details,
no problem, Caroline, no
but
problem. So just to kind of help a little bit with that, so TAP is a 4-year certificate program for students with special needs to get education experience, learn special skills, social skills, travel training skills. Many of them have jobs on campus. And so, these students get to come to campus, go to classes, come out with a certificate program. So it's a great program for students with special needs that are looking to go to college later on. So students in special education, like Caroline, so you got to work, so you got to kind of assist these students with with the things that they do throughout the day. Is that correct?
yeah, like Matt and I would schedule little dates to go to like the dining halls together, and we would meet for dinner sometimes. And it was just nice to hang out with them.
Cool. So yeah, and many of these students have what's called like life coaches, and so some students get to assist with that as well. So great resource for just to have some more hands-on opportunities for students in special education that's right here on campus. So and here's just another example, like if you were to do the language arts and science, you can see some of those courses that are built into the curriculum early on, preparing students for whatever content areas you're looking to go into. So the hands-on experience part is really essential for students that as they are kind of progressing through a program, they are going to be getting hands-on experience starting freshman year, right? Going into sophomore year, and then junior year, you'll start doing your student teaching practicums, and you'll do, I believe, 3 different school placements for students in special education, one in the fall, go to another one in the spring, and you'll have another school your senior year, and that does transition really well into a full-time internship opportunity. Caroline, do you want to talk a little bit about, how that experience has changed from like your first year and the experiences that have helped shape you into, steering you where you are now? Then what has your student teaching experience has been like for you?
Yeah, so your first year, I mean, you really only, I think it requires maybe 10 to 15 hours in a class. So we would go once a week for maybe an hour working with the students. So it was fun, but you were only working with one student and you weren't there that long. But with each year and with each semester, you're doing more hours, spending more time in a classroom. You get way more experience, and you get to work with entire classes instead of just one particular student. This semester has been the most fun for me. We got to go to a school that is only for kids with significant disabilities. And you again work in the classroom, but you have one student who you're doing lessons with and planning lessons for them and collecting data, and you really get a feel of all of the work and effort that goes into planning a class, which is a bit stressful, but the professors here are very, very helpful, and they understand that we're not going to be perfect from the beginning, and they also grade according to that. They don't grade if you miss something or leave out something in a lesson. They just know that you put in the effort and that you tried, and then they give you constructive feedback so that you can do better next time.
Yeah, awesome. So what does like a day look like when you have classes and you do student teaching? What does a day kind of look like for you?
So I haven't got, I'm not in the full student teaching where I'm there 5 days a week,
Okay.
but we I have class, or I had class this semester on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Thursday would be like my heavy day where we had 3 classes from 10 to 6. And that was the only day that I really had class. But on Tuesdays, we would go to the school that was for kids with disabilities, and we'd be there from 8 to 2, and we'd spend half of it in the classroom with the students, hanging out with them, and then we'd spend the other half still at the school, but we would just meet with our 2 professors, and they would have like a joint class together that our whole major would kind of hang out, and we would go over the videos of us doing our lessons with our kids. We'd give each other constructive feedback on what we were doing, and then we'd plan our next lesson for the week. So you'd already have that done, and you don't have to worry about it outside of class. The professors want you to do it there so they can give you some advice and help you through it. And then I had one other school. I went to a mild to moderate setting in a middle school, and I'd go be there for like 2 or 3 hours a day, just working in multiple different classrooms. So I got to be in a classroom that's for students with emotional disturbance. So that was a really interesting and unique experience for me because I'd never been in a classroom like that. And then we'd also just go into regular, normal, typical language arts and math classrooms where it'd be a mixture. You don't know what students are on an IEP, and you just help the entire classroom.
Yeah, very cool. So, important to note there that you get experience in both mild to moderate, moderate to intense kinds of classrooms, right?
Yeah, and that was really helpful for me because I always envisioned myself being a more moderate to intense teacher. That's just where I've always kind of had the most experience. But having that mild to moderate really made me realize that I enjoy being with those kids just as much. And it's exciting for me because I know that in the future down the line, if mild to moderate, or if moderate to intense is too intense for me, or it's really draining me, that I have the option to switch around and change it up.
Yeah, that's awesome. As we kind of transition into kind of life, we'll definitely come back and touch a little bit about more on your experiences as well. But let's talk a little bit about life as a student. And we'll definitely be addressing some of the questions that you have posted in the chat box as we go through this. But I want, Caroline, first of all, I want to kind of talk about the role of an academic advisor, right? Our academic advisors, we are so thankful to have these individuals because they do such amazing work. They work hands-on with the students in our program. So you'll have a specific assigned advisor to you as a student to just assist you with, scheduling the classes and learning about what do I need to make sure I have completed to graduate on time, and other things that might be available to you as a student on campus. It's just a great person to really lean on and ask those kinds of questions when you're not sure who to go to within an institution. And so great resources, the academic advisors, they play a major role for our students. And so Caroline, maybe talk a little bit about the role of an academic advisor. How accessible are they? Are they easy to get a hold of and schedule appointments with? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I had my advisor that I had my first 2 years, actually, he still works at UC, but he has a different position now. And I actually cried when I found out he wasn't going to be my advisor anymore because I didn't meet with him super often because you don't meet with your advisors weekly or anything like that. But every time we met, he was always showing how much he cared. He would always ask me how my classes were going, and if I had anything, like whatever I told him, he would take seriously and work hard to make sure that I got everything that I needed from my professors. And he also just gave me advice on life. We'd talk about politics together. We kind of just became kind of friends. So it just felt like I had someone who really kind of understood me as a person. He always showed that he cared. And I think he did that with everyone. Even in his email, when he let us know that he was no longer going to be our advisor, he said, if you ever want to meet up for coffee, let me know. I want to still have a relationship with you guys and still talk to you. So he just always made me feel so confident in what I wanted to do and always led me in the right direction. And when I was nervous about changing my major, he ended up telling me that I'm actually going to be ahead of everyone else. And he just always calmed me down if I was nervous or scared about something going on.
Yeah, and since you brought that up, it was a question we had here, for students that obviously when students come into college may not know what they want to major in, or they might be in a major that, they think they want this major, but maybe they want to change. For you coming into this program, when you decided to switch, how easy was that switch for you?
It was so much easier than I thought it would be. When I felt like I was pretty sure about it, I let Kyle know that I wanted to have a meeting with him, and he, asked me why I wanted to change. And the more I talked about it with him, the more sure I was about making the change. And he made the change happen, and it was easy. It was so easy. It was kind of like nothing really happened. Since I did it first semester, I did it my second semester, I was already taking a lot of the classes that special education students have to take. I feel like at the first year, education courses are all pretty similar, so we're all kind of taking the same things. So but I don't know how it would be switching to a different college, but for me, it was super easy.
Yeah, I mean, granted, if you're switching within the college, the process is much easier. So I always tell students, if you are coming into UC and you might be changing colleges, make sure you reach out to that college, to an advisor over there, and know what those requirements are if you do plan on going to a different college later on. So, but yeah, obviously, if you are coming into education and you're looking to switch, even like from secondary to special education or something like that, like she said, it's a different kind of a process. It's an easier thing for students to do, especially early on. So talking a little bit about campus life, granted, campus life looks very different right now with everything that's going on. And I do want to make sure that, we say, hopefully everyone that's out there, hope you are staying safe and healthy. We're thinking about you guys. If you have questions about how UC is navigating things, feel free to let me know. Either reach out, contact me, email me, call me, or post questions on here. I can maybe direct you to some resources or answer potential questions and just talk a little bit more about what we're doing to accommodate students. But yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. I know senior year for many students is very different than what maybe we or you expected it to be like. If you have any thoughts or advice on how you guys have managed to stay connected with friends, still feel free to share those things. We'd love to hear from you and what you're doing and how you're staying involved with individuals in your own schools. But for right now, as far as campus life goes, when we are on campus, there are a lot of things that go on within the university that truly, I think, set us apart from other institutions. And we'll definitely go into kind of like some of the student organizations that you can be involved with. But as far as kind of the day-to-day and different environments like dorms and dining halls and the different kinds of, you have the rec center on campus, which is a top-rated rec center in our institution. What does that look like for you, Caroline? What does a day look like? What are some things that you like to go and check out? How do you kind of manage life as a student in college on campus?
One of my favorite things to do is just go for walks around campus and just kind of people watch and see what everyone else is doing. Because, I mean, not right now. I went for a walk on campus and there was no one there, which is good. But normally there's always stuff going on. We've had Starbucks trucks come up and give us free Starbucks and free oatmeal. And then also Crossroads, which is a church right by campus. They always would come up every Tuesday, I think, and you could get free coffee on campus. I really do love the rec center. I always forget that there's a pool and a hot tub and like a lazy river there. And I went right before all this COVID-19 stuff happened. And I felt like I was on vacation or something, just like chilling in the hot tub. It was so much fun. But yeah, there's always something to do, even if you don't have anything planned. If you just walk around campus, maybe just text a friend to just meet you on campus, you can just sit on the quad. No one really calls it the quad, but you can just sit on the grass and people watch. There's always guys skateboarding and people unicycling around campus. It's just, there's such a diverse community at UC, and it's really interesting to see what everyone else is doing.
I like that, unicycling around campus. Now, your freshman year, did you live on campus?
Yeah, I lived in Stratford, which is a dorm.
Okay, so
Well,
what
technically
was
on campus. But.
on campus? Yeah, so what was it like living on campus?
I loved it. I liked Stratford is like I think there's over 20 little buildings and they're really cute. And I lived, of course, in the very back and had to walk up a million steps to get to class every day. But I loved being on campus. My RA was really funny. He was double majored in jazz studies and journalism, so he was always playing his trumpet. And we would have like little meetings in the basement for movie night. I watched Space Jam for the first time, and we had like board game night, which is like one of my favorite things. I'm a big board game person. But it was really interesting. I decided to join the student government for Stratford, so we would all meet at our little, there's a Stratford pavilion, which all the people in the different buildings can go to. And we actually had a talent show, and the students from TAP were in it. I did a dance to Crank That Soldier Boy with one of the kids in TAP. So that was really fun. But my first year, I loved it. I felt like I made the most friends my first year with everyone in the dorm. You could walk down the hall and have a group of friends to hang out with. I felt really connected my first year, for sure.
That's awesome. One of the questions, what are the best places to eat?
For dining halls, I haven't tried the newest one, the Campus Green. I don't know what that one. But
Marion Spencer?
Yeah, I haven't been to that one. I kind of want to like find a freshman to meal swipe me in or something. But
so if you're not eating at dining hall, what's your favorite restaurant to go to?
Honestly, I like going to Chipotle just because it fills you up and it's relatively cheap compared to other places. But also Krishna, if you like Indian food. I feel like we have a lot of like really good Thai, Chinese, Indian. There's gyros. I feel like Clifton has a very wide range of different types of food you can get. Drunken Tacos is really good. But if you are eating at the dining halls, I recommend Market Point. That's where.
Market Point.
Yeah, they have good omelets.
A good omelet, nice. Very cool. I mean, this is all making me very hungry now. But and so obviously there's a lot to do around campus now. What are there things that you've been able to take advantage of or be involved with off campus as well or around campus?
Off campus. I feel like I'm kind of a homebody by nature, so I like to have like, I'm the type of person to have like a few really close friends and just want to hang out with them.
Yeah.
But me and my roommate just constantly find different coffee shops around campus to do homework at because we find it pretty hard to do homework in our apartment, which is what I'm struggling with right now during COVID-19. But yeah, just kind of finding new places to explore around campus, different little like coffee shops and restaurants to go to, or we'll just go to the library and kind of people watch while doing homework.
Very cool. All right, so let's see here. Student organizations, there are quite a bit of those things to be involved with. I always tell students, get involved on campus because students that are involved on campus typically do better academically. So get involved in things, and there's a lot of ways for students to do that. There's a couple of student groups I listed here specifically within our college and in education. We have the Minority Association of Future Educators and the CECH ambassadors that Caroline is involved with. But what are some things, maybe Caroline, are there any groups that you've been involved with that you really enjoyed or others that you've heard about maybe that you might want to try out?
I did my freshman and sophomore year, I did Bearcat Buddies, which is where you go and you get to go, a little van takes you to a school and you get to tutor with kids, which was one of my favorite experiences. My freshman year, I decided to try to join a bunch of clubs, and I went to like the first meeting for each one and kind of saw that board game club wasn't really, I like board games, but board game club had a lot of board games that I've never heard of before in my life. So I just kind of got a bit overwhelmed, but I kind of tried to join too many and then overwhelmed myself and not sticking with any of them. So maybe try to pick one or two that are really interesting to you, I would say. But there are a lot of really cool clubs. I know we have a milkshake club, which Corbin has talked to us about before, where they walk to UDF and get a little workout in, and then they get to reward themselves with a milkshake at UDF, which
Yeah.
if I would have known about that earlier, I definitely would be in that club. So
Yeah, so that's great. Thanks for sharing about that. So yeah, get involved. There's a lot of ways for you to do that, is really what we want to make sure we communicate there. So you see there's a lot of resources for students that might want to go outside of the United States, at least when you're able to. And so in the past, we've had students that go out and they'll do experiential learning in different countries. And so whether that's a short-term faculty-led trip, we've had students in the past in education go to London and explore some of the educational systems there. Or you may have students that want to go do a whole semester of abroad and taking classes at a different institution, and get that kind of an experience as well. And so whatever that looks like for you and what you want to do, we definitely encourage it. And there are definitely opportunities for you to take advantage of and pursue those kinds of experiences. And so reach out to your academic advisors. We have a study abroad office for students that want to get help with those kinds of resources. We also, there is funding out there available to students that might help offset some of the costs that you could be eligible for. And so make sure you do take advantage of those kinds of things as a student. If this is something you want to do, I encourage you to look into that. Caroline, do you have anything to add to this? Is there anything that you've been involved with or know of opportunities that anyone that has taken advantage of?
I haven't taken advantage of it. I always go to they have a little fair on Main Street where they show all the places that you can go. And I highly recommend going there because you'll just see pictures of all these places that you really want to go. And you obviously find out information, you learn how much it costs, and then you can kind of see if it's a practical thing for you to do.
Cool. Thanks. So yeah, check it out. If it's important, some students may not have even thought about it. I always like to mention it because it's something I wish I had done when I was in college. And so if you hadn't thought about it before, look into it. If it's important to you, it is a resource that definitely is available to students. I always like to say, make sure that if especially for students in education, if this is important to you, look into those resources early on, especially if you want to do something more long-term, like a semester abroad, because once you do start student teaching, you will need to be in Cincinnati in your placement. So do something early or look into a summer term if that's something that's important to you. And then kind of tying back to the experiential learning aspect of the program, this obviously is huge for students because, special education, there's a lot of different classroom experiences with the mild to moderate, moderate intense, and covering kindergarten through 12th grade. So how do you get, what does that experiential learning really look like? How are you able to get experiences from across the board and different grade levels and different classroom experiences? So maybe Caroline, I know a lot of this, we've talked a lot about this already, but maybe kind of just go a little bit more in depth into some of the experiential learning things that you've done that you really enjoy, and how has that assisted you in your learning?
Yeah, this semester, like I said, I was at a middle school, which I was always the type of person to be like, oh, middle school teachers, they must be crazy being with those kids. But I actually found out middle school is where I have the most fun, just because that age group, they're figuring out who they are and they're going through kind of that awkward phase. And it's really nice to just to know that they have someone who cares about them and will help them through any struggles they have. So I actually really like middle school. I also got to be at Hughes where I worked with a more mild to moderate placement, like the kids who get pulled out for one class or something like that. And that was really fun. All of the mentor teachers that they have, Joe Link is the guy who's in charge of all of our placements, and he works extremely hard to make sure that the mentor teachers are really amazing teachers, and he takes feedback really seriously. We always tell them what our experiences were so he knows maybe they won't go to that school next year because it was a bit of a bad experience. So it's rare that students have bad experiences at the schools just because of how much work goes into where you're placed.
Yeah, and so you mentioned, just for those that may not know, Hughes is a high school, which is actually right next to our campus.
Yeah.
So really convenient for a lot of students, because if you are living near campus or on campus, you can probably just walk to your
Mhm.
two-year placement. What grade level were you there?
I was with 11th grade students, and it's actually really nice that it's so close. My mentor teacher would randomly decide to take the students to the little coffee shop right by the high school, and we would go there's a church attached to it, so we'd go to the church part of it and do reading. We would just all read there just to get the students out of the classroom and a bit more engaged because we're doing something a bit more fun, which was awesome.
Yeah. And just out of curiosity, because honestly, I don't even know this answer what I'm going to ask you, but you mentioned middle school and 11th grade, but you're where you are yet. You still have a ways to go in your program. But what are those the only grade levels you had experience in so far, or what other grades have you been able to get experience in?
So my first year I got to work with third graders, but since then I've mostly been with older students. The school for kids with disabilities, I'm in a classroom where it's all fifth grade students, so it's later elementary, and they're really fun too because they're still all super cute and adorable, but also they're not gonna like snot on you. Well, I don't know, it's moderate and intense, they still might snot on you, but they kind of, it's, I don't know, little kids always kind of scared me just because I feel like you can have such a big impact on them and they're a bit more loud. And I feel like for me, I would just want to like have fun and play with them. And I feel like I'd probably slack off on some of the learning. So that's why I feel like I would be better suited with middle school because there's a bit more of a balance.
Yeah. So you feel like, you feel like you've been able to really kind of get experience across the board to really kind of identify where it is you see yourself working with?
Yeah, I was kind of nervous about the mild to moderate because, like I said before, I didn't think that was for me. But I feel like a lot of us, the other kids in my major, we always talk about it. And the places that we were least excited about ended up being some of our favorites. And then, like I said, the guy who does our placements, he had meetings with us and really talked to us about what we want for our student teaching. We got to kind of tell him any grade levels we would want, and what kinds of classrooms you want to be in. So they really take into account what you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the program.
Cool, thanks. Do you have anything to add to the experiential side of the program?
It's the most fun. It's so much fun. My favorite part of every week was when I was in a classroom. Even if the kids were being wild and crazy, I fell in love with every kid that I got to work with, even the kind of troublemakers, because you kind of just think that they're funny. You kind of laugh at all the bad things that they're doing, and then you kind of have to take a step back and realize you're a role model in that situation and probably shouldn't be encouraging their behavior. But the classroom is just so much fun. I miss it.
Very cool. All right, cool. Thanks for sharing. So this is now a time to where if you do have any additional questions, a great time to post any questions in the chat box. Let us know. We'll be happy to address them throughout or at the end of this presentation because we are kind of coming to the conclusion. So if you have any questions, let us know. I also like to put up our social media on the screen. So if you want to follow us on other channels or other accounts, feel free to do so. They stay pretty active and there's a lot of things going on. So follow us on also Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, in addition to Facebook, and just see what else the college puts out there and stay in touch with us. And we'd love to hear more from you guys as you're thinking about things. So feel free to reach out or follow us on different areas. My information is there at the bottom. If you did miss it, if you missed it at the beginning, my phone number and email is there. Feel free to reach out. We are definitely assisting students and answering questions during this time frame. So feel free to let us know if we can assist with anything as you guys are looking into those next step decisions for you and what school you might want to find yourself in. Caroline, do you have any advice for students that are going to be coming into college this next year?
I feel like everyone kind of says this, but build really strong relationships with your professors, especially once you get later in the semester, because those are the ones who really they can really, like one of my professors right now, she has a lot of connections in Colorado, which is where I possibly want to move after I graduate. So you need to build connections because they will be the ones to help you get into the best school and the schools that you want to work in. They're also just really amazing people, especially right now with what's going on. they're letting us know that they're here for us if we need anything, if we're struggling at all, to contact them. The professors in our school care so much about the students because they want to make great teachers because they care about the kids in school. So it's a win-win to just mold amazing teachers.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So we are kind of basically here at the end. So I'll leave it up here for a minute or two left, just in case anyone does have any last minute questions. We'll be happy to take those now. Of course, if you do have questions later, I'm always ready and able to assist any questions you have at a later time as well. But I do want to thank you everyone for coming here tonight and being here and just taking some time to listen a little bit about this program and seeing if it's a potential fit for you. I know we would typically prefer to have this kind of as an in-person event, but it is what it is right now, and this is kind of like an opportunity that we wanted to make sure we provided to get some information out there and assist you as you're thinking about those kinds of decisions as far as a school that best fits your needs and your desires and what you're looking for. So thank you for being here tonight. Congratulations again to you admitted students. And Caroline, thanks for being here. Is there anything that you want to say to everybody?
I hope you all pick UC. I didn't even look too much into how good of a school it was. I just kind of decided it's close to home, I'll go here. But I truly, truly do love our university and the school as a whole. So go Bearcats.
Go Bearcats. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. I'll leave this up for just a few more minutes. So if you have any questions, let us know. But once again, thanks for coming tonight, everybody, and stay safe and stay healthy.